Everett, where should we start, my friend?
I want to start with the Italian women. That
Let's
is what
do it.
got me going the most this weekend. Other than there's that one great men's match, but kind of an off week on the men's side, but a lot going on in the Italian women's side. Most notably, Monza are the new queens of the castle at the moment,
Yes, they are.
stepping into first place with a beautiful 3-0 win over past leader Scandici, who fall all the way to third. Um, it's a bloodbath up at the top, and like Scandici last week, they beat Canigliano, but in between lost Navarra. So it's really give and take between the top five teams in Italy at the moment.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun, and we've gotten to see a lot of them play head to head the last couple weekends. Like last week, we talked about Monza beating Conegliano in four, Scandici beating Busto Arsizio in four, and this week it was Monza versus Scandici head to head, and Busto Arsizio versus Conegliano head to head. So those are the two that I think are really worth talking about. So you want to start with Monza?
Yeah, absolutely.
All
And
right,
the big story in the Monza match for me was how dominant Dana Redke was.
she was
Like
awesome.
she was absolutely lights out for Monza in this one. She led the match in scoring, or sorry, she was led her team in scoring with 14 point, 13, 21, 62%, efficiency 62% hitting percentage, no errors, no blocks, and she really ran the show for Monza. They went as she went, and you knew that on a good pass and a free ball that Alicia Oro was going to do whatever she can to get that ball into Retke's hand, and Retke proved that she can hit pretty much anywhere along the net. She is a threat anywhere on the court, and pretty much anytime she's in that front row, she's gonna be a threat offensively.
She's
Um,
awesome. They're so much fun to watch because it's such a great fit for Dana Retke because of how good Alessio Oro is at setting the middle. Like I've already had a blast watching them this year with Oro to Ana Danesi, who's another absolute world class middle attacker, and their connection is awesome. I am just blown away though by how fast that's been able to develop. Like that first match that Dana Retke started against Vakifbank like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago in Champions League. Yeah, 2 weeks ago that she definitely looked like she had jumped in the deep end and had bitten off a little bit more than she could chew at the time. But then she immediately responded with an MVP performance against Conegliano, like the reigning best team in the world, and then repeated that performance here against Candici, who's no joke. So both
I mean,
Retke and Danesi, I mean, what is this, 21 for 37 combined with only two errors combined? Like they were the two best individual players in the match for either team. It's incredible.
yeah, I mean, you said it last week. Um, in itself, that it looked like Retke was losing herself kind of in her blocking assignments against Vakifbank
Mm-hmm.
in her first match. And I mean, we're still not seeing great blocking stats. Of course, it only shows block kills. We don't have any touches or anything like that she had, but only one block in this one. But yeah, Dana Retke is looking real legit. And it's crazy, Rob, because while watching this match, I mean, before saying, I do have to say that Sandici had a stinker of a day.
They did.
That's the
They
only
did.
way to put it. They had a stinker of the day. They gave Antropova the start. She was 5 for 17. Really not that impressive. Lipman came in. She was 6 for 21. Like Pietrini had to come off in the second set because her knee was bothering her. But even into that one, when she was 5 for 24, Natalia was the only one who was any good out there for them. 14 for 25. But that being said, like I thought Monza looked elite. And
I did too.
I thought the addition of Dana Recchi made me really think like, hey, this is a team that could do some damage, right? They just beat Canigliano. They got this big win over Scandici. Like this is a team that could make a run both in the Lega Volley in going for the Scudetto and at Champions League, especially as we're going to talk about a little bit later on that they did qualify for that final eight. So, you know what, you're into the show. Anything can happen at this point, right?
Oh yeah.
So
And so what else did Monza go and do with a
th-
ton of
that
with a ton of
that's
rumors surrounding it? They're surrounding Monza in general.
exactly.
Just about every like high profile, even half rumored free agent in the world was rumored to be like they're the top target of Monza, which was crazy. Like they were looking at going to get Kim, they were looking to go get all sorts of these different players who just
Well,
happen to be available.
even like last week, we heard that Isabel Hawk got signed to Canigliano, and it actually turns out that she's taking a 20% pay cut from what she was getting this year at Vakifbank, and that Monza offered her that same salary, the same thing that she was getting this year, and she
Yeah.
turned down that money on Monza and decided to go for the pay cut and play for Conegliano, right?
And
But
so
man,
Monza is a player in this league. They are a player in free agency in the transfer market, and they go out and they get the reigning Olympic most valuable player. They bring over American outside hitter Jordan Larson to Italy for
huge.
the first time in her career. I didn't realize that she had never played in Italy, which is
Yeah, nuts,
insane.
eh?
But come on, you already have this team. You have a top level setter. You have two elite level middles. You have two very good opposites. And like Magdalena Stesiak was pretty bad the first set and a half, got subbed out, but it didn't matter. You have a good libero in Paracchiale. You have a above average Italian outside hitter, and now you bring in somebody with Jordan Larson's skill set, who I wasn't even sure if we were going to see her in top form much, if ever again. Like she was set to play Athletes Unlimited, and then she took an assistant coaching job at the University of Texas. So I wasn't. I thought that Athletes Unlimited was going to be like the kind of sort of the send off of her playing career, but no, quite the opposite. You would assume that Larson, when she gets up to speed, will replace Anna Daviskiba in the starting lineup, and that is a phenomenal addition for Monza. Well, to comply with the
We'll
foreigner
see though.
limit,
What
she has to.
what is the foreigner limit in Italy again? Is it 3 or 4?
It's you have to have three Italians,
Okay.
and
Oh,
actually
you have to have you. That's the thing is that
actually have
I don't think
four.
they need Janari because like looking at the stats from this one, like Daviskiba passed lights out, 72% positive and 52% perfect,
which
right?
is
Like that's
uncharacteristic for her. That's the weakness in
you
her
think so?
game. Oh yeah,
Okay,
so,
okay, fair enough. I
definitely
to
the
be
weak.
honest, like I haven't watched them enough to make a good call, but just looking offensively, right? The left side of the court is where Monza has issues right now,
Right.
right? So Janari was 7 for 21, only 33%, 6 for 19 for Daviskiva, 32%. Now you're bringing in Jordan Larson, who you're not losing anything passing wise,
Oh God,
probably
no. You're
getting
probably
a step up
for
passing wise,
sure.
and offensively you're getting a threat. Like Monza is legit now. Monza is a team to watch, and I mean, hey, we're going to talk about Champions League in a little bit, but they could pull Conegliano next in the first round
It could.
and feel perfectly confident. You've just beaten the defending Champions League champs, and you picked up the Olympic MVP. Dana Retke's getting settled into the offense. Monza all of a sudden is looking like my favorite in the Liga Volley
I
Femminile.
kind of hope that they see Vakif again in the playoffs because they took a set from them both times they played in pools, but it was never that competitive. But both those Vakif wins were pretty convincing. But you get Dana Retke ready for this level, and you get Jordan Larson. Those matches change completely, and I'm so stoked about that. And we'll talk about Champions League in a minute, but I would be curious to follow like the betting odds if there were any for who was going to win the Scudetto in Italy on the women's side throughout this year, because that will have changed significantly, especially since like the new year, since Conegliano's been showing a little bit of mortality and Monza has made these moves lately. They've got to be the odds-on favorite to win the league right now.
I don't know if betting odds, I'm trying to pull them up right now, would be onto that, but still, that's yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
they have to be my personal favorite right now. I think that they can win.
100%.
They
Absolutely.
can win in more ways than a Conegliano can, because when they don't have either Stesiak, if they start Stesiak, which they always will in a big match, they don't get her on a great day. That's okay. You bring Lise Van Heck on and off the bench. She's really good, and you can run the offense completely through the middle, and you get Jordan Larson, so you're always going to be in system. Conegliano doesn't have that luxury. If Paula Egonu isn't on for them, they're toast. They have no chance. Fortunately for
I mean,
them,
yeah, we can look into their match a little bit later, but we saw
right.
that again. But they really ride Gonu. But yeah, I don't know. Monza's looking really good, and I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Lisa Van Heck, man, she's dynamic, she's powerful. She brings in a bit more of a veteran presence
Great
than
jump serve
Stesiak.
too.
Great, yeah, absolutely great jump serve. She brings on good energy. I think Stesiak sometimes is maybe inside of her own head. She's kind of quiet out there. But Van Heck, man, she came in with authority. And that's why I was saying, like, looking at her stat line, I was a little underwhelmed by her stat line compared to what I saw in the eye test. right? But yeah, like Monza is just they've got so many different options. They got options on the left, they've got options on the right, they've got options down the middle. Like
I'm glad you
and
brought
with
that up
and
because my
with
only
Alessia Oro running that show is it's crazy.
yes, and my only complaint about Monza the entire year has been their tremendous inconsistency with who their starting lineup has been week in and week out. They have really not been consistent with that at all. They really barely played Magdalena Stisiak the first half of the year. I don't know if she's on a pitch count for some reason, like if they're really trying to save her. But there was a lot of moving pieces. The only real consistent ones were Oro, Danesi, and then the libero. The outside hitter was a completely revolving door. The second middle blocker, and then opposite we saw a little bit of both. So now you get Retke in. Retke, Danesi, those two should start every match for sure. You get Jordan Larson in when she's ready to go. She should start every match for sure. And then I think you always start Stasiak until she gives you reason not to. So just got to pick a second outside hitter and be consistent with it, and then I think Monza might be the team to beat. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I still think that they need to prove themselves a couple times. You know, that loss to Navarra really kind of puts some things into questions
Uh-huh.
for them. And especially, like I said, this was not top form Scandici this weekend. So yeah, we're gonna have to see what comes of them. But really, really promising things for Monza, and it just all of a sudden just blows the league wide open.
Totally. And so you could just flip back to the standings really quick. You can kind of see the top three teams separating themselves a little bit more. If not, well, Novara still has matches to catch up on. But the point I'm trying to get at is that you see Busto Arsizio starting to drop down, and there should be some separation between them and the top four teams in the league. And I think
Yeah.
Busto's still really good. Whoever ends up being like that 4-5 series in the playoffs, like we talked about last week, is going to be unbelievable. But another opportunity for Busto against a really good team. They play Conegliano this weekend, and they get 3-0'd. And all those sets were reasonably close, but Conegliano led pretty much the whole way in all three sets, and they were just clearly the better team, and Busto didn't quite have an answer for them. Camila Mingardi, okay, not great. Alexa Gray, okay, not great.
Mm-hmm.
Second outside hitter, Lucia Bassetti, not good at all. They've really got to figure that piece out. I think that's a huge weakness for them. But then Conegliano, meanwhile, they get some scoring from a second source other than Igonu, and that's Catherine Plummer with 17 points.
Yeah, Catherine Plummer coming up big. Maybe she watched the show, saw us calling her out a little bit. 15 for 29. She did have 4 errors on the day, but still 52% hitting. Not so bad for Catherine Plummer. And I mean, they really need that.
Oh
Miriam
yeah,
Sela really stepped up a bunch of times last year for Canigliano, and she's been pretty bad this year,
she has been pretty bad.
especially in service. Even I mean, hey, Megan Courtney out there, 4 for 17, but she's passing well.
Right.
But like even then, like she's passing well, and Catherine Plummer is out passing her
Right.
with more attempts, right? 76% positive, 48% perfect, as opposed to 71 and 43 for Megan Courtney, right? So Catherine Plummer is really establishing herself as that second in line behind Agonu. But like you said earlier, I mean, I feel like everything that's around them right now is so much more precarious than what Monza is going on.
I
And I
agree. I
mean,
think they're a little more fragile. I think that's a good way to say it. And I don't, and like from what we saw from them last year, they were so invincible. They were so invincible. They were not fragile in any way. If they had a piece that wasn't working, even if that piece was Paula Egonu, they were able to distribute the ball elsewhere and pick up that slack. And this year, it just doesn't feel the same way to me.
nope, I definitely agree. It feels like they're really trying to force a lot through Ogonu, and it's just I don't know. I think it's going to catch up to them at a certain point.
Yeah, I
Um,
kind of agree. So
yeah,
I don't really have that much more to talk about this particular
no,
match, except that
it's too bad because we're kind of getting into a point where there's a lot less Italian women's matches, like of the good ones. Like we went through a
yeah,
good period here,
yeah,
and they're kind of all duds for a little bit.
yeah. That's the unfortunate part about their schedule. Now the bottom of the league, like to avoid getting relegated, is still going to be fun to watch as we've talked about the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm looking at the schedule really quickly, and I see nothing great that jumps off the page as far as like really good matches go, at least for several weeks. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a little while before. Wow, like really yikes, man! I don't see anything until until March at the earliest. Conegliano Novara March 3rd is the next like good match I see on the
All
calendar
right,
for.
so we've got a little bit of time then.
Yeah, well, that's okay. It's been really fun to follow that league the last couple of weeks, as there have been some awesome matches that will be nice to help preview the playoff, like the late stages of the playoffs when we get there. And then the next couple of weeks are just going to be those good teams taking care of business and keep trying to stay where they are in the standings. And so yeah, we'll keep an eye on the Italian women's, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're certainly not going to lead off the show with them next week by any means.
No, definitely not. They've had their shine. We'll jump back to the men this weekend.